Welcome to another episode of Nori is Off the Line. This is your positive source of insights, opinions, and relevant information. We are live on TBN Philippines, TBN Asia, Hillsong Channel, and UCAP Television. And tonight on this program, we will have an exciting conversation with a missionary, local missionary, I would say. He is a Filipino, but he's representing a church from out of the country. It's called Lifehouse Manila, and we're going to be talking about why are they in the Philippines? What is their intention of being here? Out of the so many churches already around the metro, why would they want to build another one? Without further ado, Pastor Monci Arciaga of Lifehouse Manila. Pastor Monci, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Good to be here. I'm so thankful that you guys invited me here, and yeah, good to be here. Having a great time with you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's always been a pleasure getting people on board, especially, ministerial people, because I feel so blessed every time I speak to pastors. Iba yung level of conversation I get when I speak to pastors. So, Pastor Mons, Lifehouse Manila, before we talk about that, would like to know you a little bit more. So, if you can provide us a little background of yourself, please.
Sure, yeah. Yes. So I'm originally from Muntinlupa, Tubong Munte, sa Labas, and I grew up in a Christian family, but I was, just never really was into it. So, and then 10 years ago, I moved to Japan as an IT engineer and came to church, Lifehouse Church. And after 5 years, I decided to quit my corporate job and, you know, got involved in the ministry as an assistant of the pastor there. And fast forward, now we're here in Manila to plant a church. I guess that's a really
Right.
short.
So you grew up in a Christian family. So meaning since the day you were born, Christian na?
Yeah, yung parents ko, they're both Christian. So,
Wow, amazing.
yeah, and we went to church every Sunday, pero I don't know, maybe there was like something in me that kind of felt disconnected from all the things.
Uh-huh.
Maybe siguro parang nakasanayan lang din, and there wasn't anything new, parang naging part lang siya ng tradition namin as a family. Pero
Mhm.
nung lumipat ako sa Japan, dun ko na actually na-experience si God.
Wow.
Which is funny because when you think about it, Japan is not a Christian nation. Di ba? So
Correct.
naisip ko nga,
Yeah.
baka pag lumipat ako sa Japan, baka maging, alam mo yun, baka maging butis pa ako or anything. pero hindi pala.
Yeah. Actually, most of the people I talk to, especially mga pastors' kids or not necessarily pastors' kids, pero yung mga lumaki na sa church, no?
Hmm.
Most of them, yung growing up years nila is kind of rocky, when it comes to the Christian living. They would say, it's not really my choice, it's my parents' choice, so on and so forth. What was it like for you growing up in a Christian home?
Yeah, I think you could say that maybe I was the same. Because in a way, I was also a little bit rebellious. When I was in college, I joined a band. I was in a heavy metal band. I had long hair, and we were we were headbanging. And but at the same time, on Sundays, my dad would bring me to church, and I would play the guitar in church.
Yeah.
And so it was like living two different
Music team
lives,
ka din
you know.
pala.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I love music. That's always been a part of my life. So parang
Yeah.
alam mo yun, I'm going to church, but I wasn't really living as a Christian, you could say.
Mm-mm. So, when you moved to Japan, that's already you working, basically, And
Right. That
you
was my
said that
first job.
is, yeah, and that actually you said is your actual encounter with God. So, can you tell me more about it?
Sure. How do I say it? So it wasn't anything supernatural in a sense, like what, like a wow, like a major event or anything. But
Yeah.
I would say it was more of like I started reading the Bible for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and through that, that just really opened my eyes to who God really is and how He
Mm-hmm.
sees me, and how He would love to have a relationship with me, and how He has a great plan for me, and He's worked for me for my current circumstances. Kasi nung nasa Japan ako, ang dami kong pinagdaanan din nun eh. I went through
Yeah.
some stages of depression kasi, away from the family, and, you're
Yeah.
dealing with Japanese people, and Japanese culture is so different from Filipino. So,
Mm-hmm.
imagine that I was in Japan by myself, and, trying to adapt to the culture. I didn't have any friends. So that time, sobra yung, alam mo yun, sobrang lonely, tapos homesick.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a time when I really started seeking God, and I
Mm-hmm.
found that through reading the Bible, through journaling, that we
Yeah.
always talk about in Lifehouse, that we encourage people to read the Bible for yourself. It's not for other
Yeah.
people. It's not for the people that annoy you, or your wife, or your brother, or your friend, but it's for you. What is God
Mm-hmm.
speaking to you today? So ayun yung nangyari. I
Yeah.
started reading the Bible through the lens of what is God speaking to me today about
Mm-hmm.
my current circumstances. That's from then on, I just, it became a habit, and I loved doing it. It was my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
And
It,
I would say that was the start of my actual, you know, relationship with Jesus, my journey with Him.
I'm interested to know if you're okay to share it.
Sure.
Who made you, or who made you read the Bible? I mean, there's probably something or somebody, someone who
Yeah, of course.
said, better start reading the Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
Paano ba?
So
Paano siya
yung
nangyari?
sa Lifehouse, we have this thing we call Connect Group. So I think we all have it in different churches, right? Some people call it
As you were
small
part
group.
of the church already, you were part of the church already.
Yeah, yeah. I was already going to church then. So I was
Okay.
already going to church, and we have this Connect Group. And in Connect Group, we encourage people to journal. We call it journaling. Tapos, you write down whatever you feel like God is speaking to you about. Tapos dun sa
Mm-hmm.
group, we shared with each other, like what is God speaking to you this week. So we take
Yeah.
turns, and we share it in the group. So that's what we do, and that's the same thing we do here in Manila. Tapos, at first when I heard about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's, but that time I have my misconceptions. I was a little bit weird. So I think, oh, okay, sa inyong quiet time, yun yung devotion. So I was like, I don't know about that. Pero nakita ko yung kung paano nila sinishare yung word nila, ay, yung word ni
Yeah.
God para sa kanila. It's like, wow, something's different with these guys. This is personal stuff. This is not
Yeah.
like something to impress other people. This is not to impose on other people, but this is God speaking to these guys. And I want that. I want that in my
Mm-hmm.
life. I want to experience this. And, as I see them living it out, and okay, I want to try it. If that's real, I want to try it. And that's when I started.
Yeah. So before I move on to my next question, I'd like to do a follow up on that. So you keep on saying journaling, journaling,
Yeah,
journaling. Is this somehow similar? Because I'm not very familiar with it, to be honest with you.
sure.
But is this from the same as having a diary, or whatever you may
It's a
call
little
it?
bit,
Yung parang
yeah,
isinusulat mo yung journey mo
yeah,
every day.
yeah. I thought about the same thing when I heard it for the first time. No, so magkaiba siya. Yung diary, you talk about, oh, my sister yelled at me this morning, and I'm so upset. Those kind of stuff, right? Yung diary or
Yeah.
journal. But in journaling, bro, it's very simple. So you just read a passage anywhere in the Bible. Tapos it could be, one word, or it could be one sentence. Tapos yung sentence na yun, kung ano man yung nabasa mo dun sa Bible, you write it down. And then
Mm-hmm.
after writing that verse down, you write down what you feel like God is speaking to you about through that verse. And that's
Mm-hmm.
it. It's very simple. You could do it in like 1 minute.
And
But
is it like you've got to do it once or twice a day, or no?
it's up
Once
to
okay na.
you, really.
Uh,
Anytime. When I was in Japan, I would do it when I'm on the train, or
yeah.
sometimes when at work and I'm feeling kind of, something's not right with me. I would go to the toilet
Yeah.
sometimes, and I would just, it's like, God, what are you saying? So I would do it on my phone. it's
Right.
really, it's something personal. It's like,
Yeah.
God, what are you saying? What do you want me to know? What do you want me to hear right now? And I would just write it down.
It basically is a part of your lifestyle, so to speak.
Yeah,
No?
yeah, yeah,
Parang ganon siya. Yeah.
exactly.
So,
And it changed my life, man.
Monche, yeah, yeah. Obviously, you're now a pastor.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
anyways, I'm gonna ask you on that. What led you? There's so many ministries. We're talking about off the record. We're talking about you being in music. And there's so many things you can do in church. There's so many ministries that you can do. Why pastor?
You know what? That's something that I never really thought about thought about before. Yun yung ano eh, parang hindi ko naman siya pinlano. I never saw myself being in the ministry
Mm-mm.
before. But like I said, it's all through journaling. I hear God speaking to me about this thing, and if you want, a part of it being in a ministry is just really following God's call.
Mm-mm.
You don't. I didn't say I want to be a pastor. I want to be a leader. I want to do this. I want to plant a church. But it was more like, I heard God speak to me about going back to the Philippines, or I heard God speak to me about, you know, hanging out with some people. I heard God speak to me about telling people that being a Christian can be fun, and it's
Mm-hmm.
fun. You can be filled with joy and passion, and all of that put together led me into becoming a pastor. So I guess that's how it is.
Yeah. How was the family's reaction when you finally told
Yeah,
them
my
about you becoming a
I'm very
pastor?
thankful for my family. My dad and my mom, they're very supportive. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember my dad when I told him that, because I studied IT. I graduated. I have a degree in IT,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved to Japan as an IT engineer. I
Yeah.
was I had great job, great salary. And so obviously moving from the corporate world, moving to ministry, it's like, it's huge. It's a big
Yeah.
decision. It's a major decision in my life.
Correct.
So when I told my dad, tatay, um, gusto ko mag-work na ako as in ministry. So mag-quit na ako ng IT. Sabi ko sa kanya. So the
Were
first
you
thing he
single
said
then?
was, before you make any decision, you got to make sure that you have the calling. You got to make sure that God is actually calling you into that. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you don't, many people want to be a pastor, but they're not called. It's not gonna work. So yun yung
Yeah.
sabi niya sa akin. So what does that mean for me? Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng being called? Well, it's very simple. Again, journaling. What is God gonna speak to me about? And at the
Right.
same time, also journaling, but also speaking to my pastors. What did they think about it? Because you gotta have that. You gotta, maybe it's just my own thinking. I wasn't sure. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's just my own feeling. Do I just want to be a pastor? So I had to talk to my pastor and ask them for their wisdom and what they thought. And again, they said, what is God speaking to? And so God speaking to me about, his word was being set apart for a specific job. That was my journal. God said,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot which verse it was, but he said, I've set you apart for this particular work. And my picture of it was, okay, that's in ministry. That being set apart, that's
Mm-hmm.
assigned to a special kind of job, and that's
Mm-hmm.
to love on people and help other people and tell Jesus to them. To me, that was my picture. And so that
Mm-hmm.
picture is picture of being a pastor. And so that what led me
Yeah.
to. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. When you decided to become a pastor, were you single or were you married then?
I was single.
Ah,
I was
okay.
still single. I was 25. Oh, wait,
Would you think if
2014.
you were
Oh, wait, I'm
married
sorry.
then?
Actually, let me take that back. When I decided to be in ministry, I wasn't a pastor.
Ah,
Right off the bat, I was in worship. I was the music director, but that's still ministry
mm-hmm.
to me, because
Yeah.
in Japan, in Lifehouse, even if your role is a worship leader or you're a pastor, I was still doing ministry stuff. We're doing outreach, going to universities and street live, playing music. That's
Yeah.
how we meet people. And so I was doing all these things that I didn't know was like a pastoral role. So, but I didn't have the title or anything. I was just,
Yeah.
doing these ministry stuff.
Would you think it would have been a different decision altogether if you were married during that time?
If it was a different person, it would have been. But if it was my wife now,
It would
I
still
think
be the same.
it would still be good.
All right.
So it's very important.
That's yeah.
You gotta, choose who you
You're
marry.
gonna have the right person every time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good answer. That's one of the best answers ever, I would say. Um, anyways, Lifehouse Manila, Pastor Monchi, Lifehouse Manila, big in Japan. You coming back to the Philippines. I've asked you this off the record also. There are just so many churches in the Philippines
Right.
now, and why decide on coming to the Philippines and start anew?
Yeah, so like I told you earlier, I was having these dreams about 2 years ago about coming back to the Philippines. I'm seeing young Filipinos, their faces, and people who are searching in the Philippines, searching for answers, searching for satisfaction, searching for fulfillment, and they were looking at maybe money or going abroad and all these stuff, doing these things that we want to
Mm-mm.
have in life, but then they couldn't find it. And so was having these dreams, and I didn't talk to anyone about it except my wife, of course. And I just felt like this burden growing in me until finally I talked to my pastor about starting a church in the Philippines. I asked him, "Hey, Pastor, have you ever thought about maybe starting a church in the Philippines?" And he said, "Sure, why not? There's a lot of churches in Philippines, but it's always been in my heart. So if we have
Mm-hmm.
someone who would go there and who would lead that, why not?" And so I told him last year, "Sorry, Pastor Rod, I think I want to do it." And so that's how it happened. And to me, to be honest, I've thought about what you said. Like, there's already a lot of churches in the Philippines, great churches actually, because
Mm-hmm.
when we come to the Philippines for a short vacation, me and my wife, we would go to different churches just to see how it is and check it out. And there's a lot of great churches, really. But I wanted to plant a church that will really focus on helping young people hear God's word, and that's journaling. I want to focus on helping Filipinos have an intimate relationship with God. It's not just going
Mm-mm.
to church on Sunday. It's not about them relying on me for advice or for help, but it's about
Mm-hmm.
them relying on Jesus directly. And I want a church that's full of joy, vibrant, fun, international, and our style. We get to keep our culture, and that's why I want to do this. I'm pumped. I really wanted to do it. And having a lot of churches here, it's not going to stop us because ultimately it's not a competition. It's really
Yeah.
having the heart for these group of people that we want to reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
I
hope I
agree to that.
answered your
And
question.
as I've said also earlier, I like the heart and passion that you have in trying
Mm,
to again establish a church here, differently from what we normally see and experience from the current ones in the area.
mm,
Um, but the thing is this though, you started in February, and
right,
March we were on the lockdown. March,
right.
April, May, and June. In fact, until now, we're still under quarantine, and we don't know until when. So, how is this impacting your timelines and
Oh yeah, it
projections?
it it had a major impact. Actually, we haven't even started yet because we were doing interest meeting. That was just to meet people. So our
Mm-hmm.
initial plan was to launch the church in the actual major launch is in September, after we had met people and we'd established the teams,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a place that we could meet regularly and got
Mm-hmm.
training and all these things, important things to start a church. And so we were looking at September we would launch the church.
Mm-hmm.
But after moving
Right.
here, 2 weeks after moving here, the lockdown happened, and obviously it affected us very much because we couldn't meet. We couldn't meet with our friends, with our team.
Yeah.
And at first, I was a little bit, I was a little bit frustrated because I was like, so what's the point of moving to the Philippines? I was asking myself and I was asking God. But then I realized that what's happening right now is actually we're seeing the potential in the online community, in the online
Correct.
services. And so that's what we've been
Yeah.
doing. Instead of just feeling bad about it, we started online services and we are reaching so many people that we wouldn't have met otherwise. So yeah, of course, it affected our timeline. We couldn't launch like on our initial plan, but at the same time, now we're able to hold weekly services on a Sunday, and we're meeting
Yeah.
new friends every single week. And yeah,
Right.
that's so funny. It's so funny that we met a guy who's actually living in Quezon City. Never met before. I don't know him. He doesn't know me, but now he's in our team and he's so passionate and he's just like, man, I'm so glad that you guys are here and I found out about you through language exchange, which is one of the outreaches
Yeah.
that we're doing now. And now I'm planted and I love it. And so those are the kind of stories that like really motivate me to see that God is really doing something right now. And even in the midst of the coronavirus, even in the midst of all these negative news and all these this and that, God can still move, but you just have to see it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that the church needs to realize, and I think it has been realized by many, is the power of adaptability.
Right.
In the ever changing world that we are in. I mean, who would ever thought that we're going to be on a lockdown, right?
Right.
I mean, everybody was just surprised. The richest of the
Right.
rich, poorest of the poor. We're just not prepared for this.
Right.
Not in our dreams. We never thought about it in our lifetime, and now it is happening.
Right.
So, anyways, I just want to go back on the interest meetings that you were doing. So, what actually are
Right.
you doing during those kind of meetings? And do you still intend to do that once we are allowed to go back again and start mingling with people?
I think once we start, yeah, we might do that. But yeah, to be honest, I haven't really thought about it in a more detailed, planned way because I don't really know when we're gonna go back. I don't think it's anytime soon, unless they find a cure. But but yeah, I think it's gonna be sooner. The launch is gonna be way sooner once we start. We're not gonna have an interest meeting for months and months, but I think we're just gonna launch maybe even right away because we have the team now. We have the team
Yeah.
and that we met online, and so we're just excited. We're just waiting to see what happens, and just gonna keep on focusing on building the online teams and just meeting new people every single week.
How do you see Lifehouse impacting the lives of many Filipinos? Although, again, as we've said earlier, there's just a lot of churches now. But again,
Mm.
you also said that you are different than the others. So how do you see Lifehouse impacting the lives of Filipinos in that way?
It's the same with me. How it affected my life, how our culture, um, and how I developed my relationship with God, and how I made so many friends and my wife, because I met my wife at church as well. And just having this amazing community that's life filled. That's why it's called Lifehouse, is because it's a life giving church. And just seeing people see life, and people getting healed from depression, people getting healed from loneliness, and lots of negativity, negative thoughts, and just what the church is meant to do. I see those people having those things. What I experience, I want them to experience as well. So I see young Filipinos getting impacted by Lifehouse by getting the same experience and same life that I experienced, and I want to share that to other people, to Filipinos. That's why we're here.
Well, amazing. I've seen your page. There's a lot of things happening. I've seen your website, beautiful website, and there's a lot of things happening, especially the language exchange. That's a very
Yeah,
interesting activity, I would say.
Yeah. Right now, our main outreach, I would say, is probably the language exchange. So if you're not familiar with language exchange, it's we did it in Japan. So what it is people who want to learn English. That's in Japan, because people want to
Mhm.
learn English. They want to practice English. Japanese people, they love English. Anyway, so those people that want to practice their English, um, we set up an event for them, and for us as foreigners, we would teach them English and they would teach us Japanese. So it's kind of like a, like an exchange win-win situation.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
get
yeah.
to learn, we get to learn, and it's just a fun
Yeah.
environment, and it's a great place to build relationships, meet friends, and know about culture and learn the language. And so you're building that relationship and you're building that community, and
Mhm.
through that we can invite those people to church, if they're interested. It's not like, you know this is church, you got to go to church or anything like that, but it's more like, really, it's just relationship. So it's our way to
Mhm.
build relationship with people, and when we have that relationship where we can invite them to church or tell them about Jesus, and then we do. And so right now, that's what we're doing online. We're doing language exchange for Filipinos, because I noticed that a lot of Filipinos have interest in the Japanese culture, and so I can speak Japanese. My wife obviously is Japanese, and we have some team in Manila who are
Yeah.
Japanese, and we teach Japanese, and they
Wow.
want to practice their Japanese. And
Mhm.
and my wife and our team, they also want to practice their Tagalog. They want to learn Tagalog. So it's a language exchange of Filipino people learning Japanese, and our team learning Tagalog and the culture. So it's really fun. So on a weekend, on Sunday, we see about 15 people joining, and a lot of those people are first timers. And we've been doing
Mhm.
it for a couple months now, maybe longer.
Wow.
And yeah, it's
Amazing,
really
amazing.
fun.
And that's what online can do, isn't it? Like, it's not
Yes,
really
yes.
all negative. There's still some positivity out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, I was actually journaling about it, about the things that we see online these days, even the news. You really have to have a
Mhm.
filter, don't you? Like, because when you listen to all these things, it's like, there's so much weight to it, and you
Yeah.
don't even have to be affected by it. But if you listen to those kind of voice, because even if you don't, even if you try to, okay, I'm not gonna listen to that, it's gonna get to your heart. So you just really feel like God's speaking to me about it. Just have a filter.
Such a beautiful conversation that we had here. I learned a lot about the Lifehouse and
Mm,
the things that you do, the things that you believe in, the passion that you have, and anything that you do for not just for yourselves, but for the Filipino people. I love that, to be honest with you. Now, Pastor Monchi, please promote Lifehouse to all our viewers who might chance upon meeting you someday.
yeah, sure. I think most Filipinos, we use Facebook all the time. So you can find us, just search Lifehouse Manila, and you can find our page. And if you're the millennials, you guys use Instagram a lot. Just search the same thing, Lifehouse Manila, just one word. And also we had just started a YouTube channel, so also search Lifehouse Manila. And our website is mylifehouse.com/Manila. So yeah, please check it out.
All right. Again, Pastor Monchi, thank you for saying yes to this guesting on
Oh,
this
it's an honor.
program. It has been a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me.
And just like that, 30 minutes of discussion, meaningful conversation I had with the pastor of Lifehouse Manila. Until the next episode of Nori Uy is Off the Line. Be safe and God bless.